Welcome to The Unfiltered Athlete. I'm Mike Bourne and I'm here to talk about all things sport and fitness related, aiming to give valuable insights, experience and knowledge from as many athletes and their given sports as possible. Don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button and turn on the notification settings so that you don't miss out on any exciting guests. Now sit back, relax and enjoy this week's episode. This is episode number 7 of The Unfiltered Athlete. I'm here with Tanner Shuck, and you're actually the first American I've had on this.
All right, privileged. Privileged to be the first American.
So far I've had, who have I had? I've had Romanian, Portuguese, Canadian, Icelandic, Finnish, British.
This podcast should be called the worldly athlete.
Yeah,
got it from all over, man.
No, for sure. And
that's cool.
But that's also like the whole journey behind this is it's not necessarily to become rich and famous off the podcast, but it's more so to hear the stories from different people around the world about their journey, about their training, about their sort of career paths and
sure, and their perspectives. Yeah.
And obviously, Tanner, we've known each other for a fair few years now.
Many years. Absolutely.
And
both been in Dubai for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
And we're the same age. You're about a week older than me, just over, I think.
I believe so,
just turned 38, so we're the old dogs.
We are. They're freaking old dogs. Seriously.
No, so basically, Tanner, I've asked you, obviously wanted you to come on today because I wanted to talk about your journey, because I know that it's you've definitely had some peaks and troughs in terms of your sporting career, injuries, highs and lows. You've also had obviously different sports that you've gone through. You had your American football, you then transitioned to CrossFit, and obviously now you're sort of in what I would call just a maintenance training phase, but you're also sort of sprinkling a little bit of sort of like what I would say is strength and powerlifting kind of things in there. You set yourself little targets and that.
For sure.
So I basically just want you to have a little talk first, sort of like tell everyone just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, how you grew up and how you got into fitness in the first place.
All
Cheers,
right.
mate. Thank you very much.
I'll keep it pretty brief. Thank you, sir. I first started playing sports when I was like probably 5 or 6. I started playing like soccer. You guys probably call it football.
Yeah.
And then at 9 years old, I wanted to play American football because that's what my friends were doing. And my dad would not let me play American football unless I started working out, because he just said you're not going to play unless you start to get in shape, unless you get ready to play. So I started lifting weights like consistently when I was about 9 years old. I was very fortunate. My dad had a background in like strength training and powerlifting, and so he taught me basically everything he knew from a very young age. And then I've worked out consistently since I was 9. So I've just been brought up doing it. It's like all I've ever done. It's all I've ever really been interested in. I played American football through high school, and then I also played college football.
Yeah.
And once I finished playing college football, I wanted to pursue professional football, like in the NFL.
What college was you at?
I went to school at Rice University in Houston, Texas. And it's Division I football, but it's one of the smaller schools in Division I football. So it's still the highest class of football, but it's one of the smaller schools, lesser known. But my 4 best friends that I played college football with on my team, they all went to the NFL.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Different clubs, same club?
Different teams, teams, yep. They all got drafted. And so I played with a lot of really good players, and they went to the league, and I wasn't as fortunate as them. So what I did is I just did the next best thing I could.
Yeah.
And this is around 2011, 2012 when CrossFit was really hitting the scene. And so I remember my senior year, summer training for football, I saw CrossFit on ESPN on TV. And I knew from that moment, if I couldn't play football professionally, then I was just going to do CrossFit, because I saw these guys. I was like, all right, these guys, all they're doing is just exercise. These guys are just working out. I was like, I can work out.
Yeah.
So it was, I immediately knew, and I just knew myself well enough that I never wanted to get like a real job. I never was interested in really anything but training. And so once I finished playing football, I just immediately went all in on CrossFit. I never really gave myself a choice.
What did you study at college?
I got 2 majors. I got a degree in sport management, which was kind of like the football player major. It's one of the easier ones. That I also got a degree in managerial studies, and I got a minor in business administration. And I never used any of them.
Which is the case for a lot of people sometimes,
to be truthful, I think the college education is largely overrated. I'll put it that way for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's another story. But so once I finished playing college football, then I just went all in on CrossFit, and I randomly, coincidentally, went to the Philippines on a vacation with my dad.
Yeah.
And then I went to the only CrossFit gym there in that country in Manila. Then I got a job coaching CrossFit there because I met John Britton.
Yeah.
You know, and so then me and John's lives have been kind of intertwined since. So I took over for John in the Philippines, and then like 8 or 9 months later, I heard about the Dubai Fitness Championship.
Yeah.
This is back in 2013, so 12 years ago. They were giving away a lot of prize money. They still give away a lot of prize money every year for it. So I flew from the Philippines to Dubai, did that competition. I got 3rd place. Only Frederick Agidius and Kenny Leverich beat me. You know, those were like games athletes that had been doing CrossFit for a long time. That was my first year of doing CrossFit. And I got a job to coach at CrossFit Metalize because of my performance at the DFC in 2013. And then obviously I was into CrossFit. I was competing in CrossFit, and I never really cared about the sport of CrossFit. I never even really liked it that much. I just did it because it was a competitive outlet for me. That's all I cared about. Like, to me, all CrossFit is just, it's working out fast.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be good at working out fast. Like, I just know I can do it. I did a lot of training my whole life, especially with football, that kind of prepared me for that. And I'm just one of those people that I don't mind getting really, really uncomfortable. Like, and CrossFit's really just, it's like a lot about mental toughness.
Go into that dark place. So essentially, we'll come back to the CrossFit bit.
Sure.
So essentially, the catalyst of your fitness drive came from your father.
Yeah.
He was the one that sort of pushed you into it. And obviously, in terms of you wanting to start playing American football, I'm guessing he probably wanted you to be a bit bigger and a bit tougher in order to
absolutely
obviously take the hits. And what position did you play?
I played linebacker and a little bit of strong safety in college. And I'm not the biggest guy. Like, I'm more like 5'11", like 205, 210 pounds.
But you're also bigger than average, I would say, on a world scale as well.
Bigger than average, maybe, but
you get some big boys in the
but like if on the scale of me on my football team, I was one of the smaller guys.
And do you feel that because you were one of the smaller guys that you had to make up for that fact by doing more in the gym?
For sure.
So let's talk about the training. So you're training with American football. Did you find that you were trying to do more to put weight on and get stronger, or did you feel like, right, I'm small comparative to the rest of the team, I need to be strong, but I also need to be fast and agile as well?
Yeah, well, it was basically a combination of both. Like, when I got to college, I was kind of about the same size as I am now.
Yeah.
And then I put on about 15, 20 pounds in like my sophomore and junior year, after just like doing more serious strength training.
Yeah.
And like, I would say this to anybody, like anyone that's ever been through like Division I college football strength programs, that's really the pinnacle of strength and conditioning, in my opinion. It doesn't get any better than that. It's so pure, and like it's very basic, because everyone knows that the basics are the best, and college football strength coaches, they can't afford to experiment with their athletes because their job is literally on the line. So I had to get stronger, and so I got up my biggest. I was like 230 pounds, probably my junior year.
And 230 is probably about what, 105?
Like, give or take about 105 kilo.
Yeah.
And I was just thicker.
Yeah.
I was still pretty lean and muscular, but I was just thicker. Just because you had to be the position I was playing, you just had to be bigger, so you could absorb the hits and the contact.
And back then, when you were younger, do you find that have you always had the same sort of mentality towards your nutrition, or did you find that it was eating worse back then because you were younger and less knowledgeable? Or were you a bit more?
I've always eaten pretty healthy, and like, this sounds not so bad, but like I've always had like lean. I've always been lean and had visible abs since I was like 14.
Yeah.
And even when I was like bigger, and there would be times when I would be in college and I would eat not the healthiest. I mean, I partied, I drank a lot of beer too in college, depending on, what time of the year it was and what we were doing. But I always ate mostly healthy, if that makes sense. Like, I never was eating super unhealthy or eating fast food like every day or anything like that. I just knew intuitively that if you eat low quality junk food, you're not going to feel great.
Yeah,
you're not going to look great either, or perform great.
I think that is obviously the I guess it's the message that comes across a lot. Technically, you can lose weight by eating those foods if you're in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily going to feel good or get the fuel from the quality of those foods. I think sometimes that's where the message does get blurred a bit, where yes, people can eat this. I mean, you could eat McDonald's every day and lose weight if you were in a deficit.
Yeah.
However, you're probably going to feel like shit.
Yeah,
because
the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to tell people, just like have them understand their relationship with food, be honest with themselves, and think about eating more for purpose and eating less for pleasure. And like what you said is true. Like, yeah, you could lose weight technically eating only McDonald's, but you're not going to feel great doing that. And so, like, if you tell people just to go follow calories in, calories out diet, but still eat whatever they want, you're basically telling them, hey, you can keep eating trash, but just eat less trash. And so that's not in my opinion, that's not a great approach. It's not a very sustainable approach.
And it's fair. I mean, I'm happy to be honest. I can't talk and say that I'm in the same boat as you in terms of eating the best quality foods every day. Like, it's just not who I am.
Like, not many people are. That's totally fine.
Yeah, and it's also just come from not necessarily my upbringing, but when I played water polo, like, I literally needed to eat so much food, like so many calories, because of the amount of training that we did sometimes. That sometimes it was just like grab what you can when you can to get the calories in, to make sure that you've got something inside you. And obviously, looking back now, I could probably say, 100%, I definitely could have eaten better.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're sort of in between training, you got to get something in quick because you want to get in some fuel, get in some carbs, because you've got more training to do.
Yeah.
And the quality probably wasn't. I probably wasn't having roast potatoes and steak. I was probably having some kind of like sweets or Nutella on bread and stuff just to get it in.
Right.
And obviously, I'm not saying that that's the right way, but obviously, when you are training that much and performing at such a level, you can probably get away with it.
Absolutely,
sometimes as well.
You can. When I was a younger, playing college football, or even in my, when I was doing CrossFit more heavily and I was training 2 or 3 times a day, you certainly have a lot more flexibility in your diet. It's really just getting in the calories to kind of sustain your calorie expenditure. But I mean, nowadays, with the majority of the clients that I work with, they're just everyday general population people, just average people that just want to be stronger, feel better, look better, be healthier. And so what I encourage them to do, and how to think about food, is just eat higher quality food, like kind of have that elimination diet mindset. And that might sound restrictive, but basically what I'm telling you to eliminate is just eliminate low quality processed packaged foods, or any foods that did not exist like 100, 200 years ago. So what that does is that forces people to eat a more natural diet, and you're going to be eating real whole foods that way. And if you just start eating more real whole foods, while it may be technically inconvenient at times, you'll just be much more successful if you're serious about losing body fat and getting healthier.
That's fair, and I also think there's nothing wrong with that message either. Like,
no,
it's not like, I know that sometimes like finances can come into the picture if you can't afford to buy certain quality foods. But obviously, then you've got to find the next best option. Between.
Yeah, you can eat healthy very affordably. I tell people all the time, like, you can eat eggs, canned tuna. You could eat whatever it is, kind of hamburger meat. There's ways to eat healthy affordably. It has to be important to you to be truthful.
So let's go back to your training. Back when you was in college, what was your training schedule? So how many days a week, or how many times a day? What was that?
Yeah, it would depend on the season, like off season versus in season. So off season, summer training, it was much more rigorous, much more intense. We would usually be on like a 4-day lifting split, and it would be basically very similar to how I train now, just because I found that to be honestly the most effective way to train, where you're basically on a 4-day lower upper split. So Monday, you train like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah.
So like Monday would be a lower body focused day, probably a squat focused. Tuesday would be like an upper body focus, like a push pull. Wednesday, might just do like some field work or some conditioning, or an easier day. Thursday would be like a lower body pull day. We might be doing like some power cleans, and maybe some front squats. And then Friday, it would be another probably like a bench press day, or like another push pull day.
Yeah.
So that's how we trained to get as strong as we could. Then during the in-season, maybe it was only, 2 lifting days. And that was really just kind of like you're on like a maintenance phase.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're in
we
season,
were very
you're
similar
practicing.
in that sense of, in terms of like when you know you've got games coming up, obviously the gym work drops down and the tactic work picks up a bit more.
Yep.
So I understand that for sure. And basically, what it sounds to me like now is that you feel that you have gone back to that style of training because you're reverting back to what you know best and what works for you in the beginning.
Yes.
I know that you still do like sprinkle, I mean, whether you want to say it's a CrossFit workout or not, in there every now and then, because sometimes you'll jump in on a workout with us at the gym if you quite like it, or I know that you still like your machine work in terms of keeping your heart healthy in that as well.
Absolutely.
And obviously you're no stranger to sort of putting yourself in a dark cave on certain workouts and that. So like when you've like let's go back to the CrossFit days now.
Sure.
In terms of the training schedule for your CrossFit, when you really started like trying to compete and obviously win the prize money that was being handed out in Dubai, what was the difference between your American football training to your CrossFit training? How did your week stack up, and what? Because I know that CrossFit, obviously there's so much variety in what a workout can be that you really have to, and this is going away from, I would say, I feel like there's a difference between the methodology and there's a difference between competing CrossFit at the highest level. Now you will use some of the methodology to get there, but obviously there's so much variety in the workouts that can come up that you have to be good at everything. So what was your approach to CrossFit training?
Sure, I'll tell you. Like, so when I finished playing college football and then I went all in on CrossFit, like I stopped doing all of like the traditional strength conditioning, and I just went all in on CrossFit. I was looking at CrossFit.com every day, and I was just doing workouts like that. And then there was a lot of popular CrossFit programs like that. People might know like Comp Train or the Outlaw Way, all these like old school CrossFit programs that probably aren't even around anymore. And when I started doing CrossFit, which by definition is just constantly varied functional movements done at high intensity, when I started doing that, I actually got worse and I got weaker and I lost muscle. And I quickly realized, all right, this CrossFit as it's prescribed or by definition or the methodology is actually not the best way to actually train for the sport of CrossFit. All right, and so I got worse, and so I quickly realized that just because I got weaker. So then what I did to start training for the sport of CrossFit, I went back to a more traditional strength and conditioning split where I would basically have lower body and upper body focused days, and then I just added in those CrossFit elements that I knew I would be tested on. So I started doing more Olympic lifting, like clean and jerks, snatches. I learned how to do double unders, kipping toes to bar, pull-ups, bar muscle ups, handstand walks, all those arbitrary skills that CrossFit deems as important to be, to prove your fitness. I just practiced those skills that I knew I would be tested on. And that's the part about CrossFit. It's like, I think it's very, I don't want to say it's like dumb, but it's just like, it's very just arbitrary. Because you don't never know, you're going to show up to a CrossFit competition and you're going to have an idea. They're going to pick about from about like 21 or 27 different exercises, and they're going to combine those in all these different ways. So as long as you're competent at those random arbitrary exercises that Greg Glassman deemed as important for fitness, then you're going to be pretty good at it. But what you got to realize if you're serious about competing in CrossFit is like what actually offers you the most value for your time training, and that is to be strong. And that's where that was a big separator, and that's why I made pretty rapid progress in CrossFit, because when I started CrossFit, I was already strong. I'd already been doing squats, deadlifts, bench press, power cleans, squat cleans for 5 years in college football.
So you feel like your base was already there?
I came into CrossFit like cleaning, like 350 pounds, squatting over, around 500 pounds. It wasn't a Olympic squat, but I mean, I had a really good base of strength. I was already strong. So like once I just learned the techniques of how to do a snatch, and a clean and jerk, then it was really easy because I had the strength to do it. Then I just had to refine the technique, and technique, that's just skill acquisition, and that can be acquired in a matter of weeks. Whereas With strength, that takes years to acquire.
I think it is interesting to look at people's backgrounds coming into CrossFit. So, for example, if I take myself now, I've been to semi-finals on a team. I'm by no means anywhere near one of the best CrossFitters in the world.
Right.
And I can happily admit that. I was a water polo player and I played to a very high level, and obviously that was my job and that was my profession. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
So my base coming into CrossFit was my endurance and my capacity was extremely high because of all the swimming that I did.
Yeah, for sure.
I did some power cleans, I did some squatting and deadlifting and stuff in my strength and conditioning, but not as much because it wasn't as relevant to the sport that I was playing. So that was where I had to play catch up, was the strength side.
Yeah, that's where a lot of people.
So on certain workouts, I remember my first open was 2018, and I still remember the workout. I think it was a 20-minute AMRAP of 8 toes to bar, 10 hang clean and jerks, 10 dumbbell hang clean and jerks, 14 calorie row. And I remember getting a really good score for someone that couldn't really do toes to bar, to be honest with you. But that was just because my capacity was good.
Yeah.
I've been able to go and obviously
you had the aerobic base to
get on the rower,
move for a fast for 20 minutes.
So I had a good fitness coming into CrossFit, and I struggled with the strength side. And obviously I've 100% got way better. You know, I remember the second workout in the open was 1 to 10 dumbbell front squats, bar facing burpees, and then I think it was in the remaining time,
the 1 rep max clean or something. 1 rep max clean,
yeah. And I remember my clean at that point was something like, I think it was like 210 pounds.
Yeah.
Now my best clean is like 315 or something. So I've 100% improved.
Yeah.
And so I can't take anything away from CrossFit because I have trained in that sense, and I have got better.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the likes of someone like Matt Fraser, and by no means am I. There's no comparison. But what I wanted to draw up was he was a weightlifter.
Yeah.
So he was
high level weightlifter.
Yeah, very high level weightlifter. Extremely good technically. Yeah. And obviously because of the training that he's done, his
foundation was so much better than everyone else's.
So then his fitness was obviously something that he had to work on. And obviously there's plenty of interviews out there where he says like, I was so unfit and But I always say that obviously fitness is so much easier to pick up than strength. So it is interesting to see people's different backgrounds of where they've come from and where they're going or where they've got to, as it were. And obviously, like you coming from, to me, American football is very similar in the sense of a rugby player coming into CrossFit because you already do a lot of strength work, and obviously you do have to have that conditioning side because of the running back and forth. So I know that you've had your controvery with CrossFit and with people in CrossFit. Like what I actually really enjoyed listening to. I remember a while ago, it's probably about a year ago now, maybe, that you did a podcast on Savon with like a little debate with Taylor Self.
Yeah.
And I know that obviously you've both had your back and forths between each other, but the way that I look at it as an outsider is you both have completely different views of how to get from A to B. And I don't necessarily think there's an issue with what way you take if you can get from A to B. One of the things that I wanted to say was, and again, by no means am I saying that you two are the same person, but one thing you can definitely take from that podcast that you did was that you are both extremely passionate about fitness and about helping people and about helping people get fit and strong. So it was a really interesting conversation for me to listen to, and there was a bit of like, back and forth and, a few words exchanged here and stuff, but ultimately you both wanted the same thing. You both want people to get fit and healthy, and I think that sometimes it's like there are different ways to get there. Your way is just this way, and your belief and your opinion is one thing, whereas someone else is the other. So what I wanted to draw from that was like, you've had obviously the back and forths with Taylor or with Hiller. I would say that you all want the same thing. You want people to get fit and you want people to get healthier. Once you go past the bad mouthing each other or the harsh words, essentially you're all trying to put the same message out there of how to get from one place to another. So how do you deal with that? The negativity in between.
I can tell you, I just don't pay attention to it because I'm no longer associate myself with CrossFit, at all. I never actually really did, and I never even competed in many CrossFit competitions besides the Open and then regionals in 2013 and 2014. And all my success in the sport was actually here in Dubai, and that's why a lot of people haven't heard of me. And it's fine. That's completely fine. But I've competed against and beaten numerous CrossFit Games athletes, you know, here in Dubai. And the fundamental misunderstanding, I think, between myself, Taylor, and Andrew Hiller is those guys, they have probably little to no training experience outside of CrossFit. That is all they know. That's all that the really, and that's what a lot of CrossFitters don't understand. Like, they don't realize there's a world outside of CrossFit. There's another ways to train. And then I've also coached CrossFit for like 7 or 8 years. I've coached thousands of CrossFit classes. I've done thousands of in-person PTs. And our fundamental argument was, is CrossFit the best way to get someone healthier? You know? And I said, no, it's not. And I would stand by that. If you've ever spent time training people, which I have, everyday general population people, not CrossFit athletes or even athletes for that matter, just the average 45-year-old mom who wants to lose some weight and be healthier, the single greatest thing that you can do for that person is not CrossFit. It's not doing constantly very functional exercise at high intensity. It is to get that person stronger at basic foundational human movement patterns, like squats, deadlifts, overhead press, being able to do a strict push-up, being able to do a strict pull-up. That's the best thing that you can do for any person. And they took me out of context saying, oh, you just got to get strong, you don't have to do any cardio. I'm not saying not to do cardio. I've done cardio. I'm good at cardio. I'll do cardio with the best of them. All right, I've literally competed and beaten numerous CrossFit Games athletes in competition, so I have cardio. But if you're talking about the average person, the single greatest thing you can do for that person to get them healthier is not to give them constantly varied, random workouts. And that's what CrossFit is at the end of the day. It's completely random, arbitrary workouts that someone just makes up out of their mind. It's not training, it is just random exercise. And if you're serious about helping someone get better and healthier, get them stronger first and foremost. Strength is the platform that everything else is built upon. And then you give that person whichever form of cardio or physical activity that they enjoy doing that is sustainable. That could be, for a lot of people, doing random CrossFit workouts. For some people, it could be swimming, it could be biking, it could be running, it could be rowing, you know? It could be just walking, going for a hike. But if you're serious about getting someone results, you need to get them to do structured and progressive and consistent strength training. They need to improve their squat, their deadlift, their bench press, their overhead press, strict push-ups, strict pull-ups, and strict dips. And I promise you, this is why you say there's a methodology of CrossFit. I completely disagree. There is no methodology. It's, at the end of the day, it's Greg Glassman who's brainwashed millions of people to think his way. No one's ever challenged it or questioned it, or some people have. But at the end of the day, he just randomly picked these select arbitrary exercises. Oh, this is what you have to be to do fit. All right, that's nonsense. If you took the average person and you simply added 50 to 100 pounds to their squat and their deadlift, you got them 25 to 50 pounds stronger at their bench press and their overhead press. You got them to be able to do their first pull-up or 5 pull-ups or 10 pull-ups. And they could do 30 unbroken strict push-ups or 10 unbroken bodyweight dips. And then you took that person and you took their 2,000 meter row time and you brought it down from 10 minutes down to 8 minutes, and you've gotten them stronger. I guarantee that person has become a much stronger, fitter, and healthier person without doing CrossFit. You literally just did 6 things: 4 barbell exercises, 2 bodyweight exercises, and whichever form of cardio that's objective and measurable, like a 2K row. It could be a mile run, it could be a 500 meter swim. And if a person just gets measurably and objectively stronger and they can prove that their aerobic fitness is improved, I guarantee they've gotten every single benefit and more than actually taking a random approach like CrossFit.
I think random, I know that obviously a lot of people have the opinion of random and varied. And
yeah, but there's
I would say that I feel that we have a good balance. Obviously, I work at CrossFit Life, and you know you've trained there many a time. You still come in and train with us quite often.
Yeah.
And I do feel like we take a very We take a balance of the two. Personally, I would say, because
there's a caveat to that.
We do a lot of. We would do the strength part, the strength and conditioning sort of part first, as it were, in our training, and then we obviously then have probably the Metcon workout, or we have like an endurance workout, or some intervals, or we do try to keep it varied in that sense with the conditioning part of our training.
Yeah, that's where you get the variety.
Yeah, and I think that's
with the Metcon.
That's also, I think, what keeps our members interested, because I can say from my own experience that sometimes when I just do what I would call the bodybuilding-esque, and I know that it's what you're saying. I'm not saying it's just bodybuilding, but sometimes when I do that training, I find it a little bit boring, and that, again, that's my opinion.
That's a valid
But that's
opinion.
why I like CrossFit, because I enjoy the mix of the movements that we have, like the couplets and the triplets that we do in our training, because that to me then is the interesting part of all right, how am I going to adapt to this workout, and how are my pull-ups going to feel after I've done so many handstand push-ups, or how's my thrusters going to feel after I've done so many pull-ups, And that's what drew me in, and what drew me in was the competitive element of CrossFit, because I'm a competitive person.
Yes.
So again, we have our splits as we go through the week. We might have back squats on Monday, we might have some kind of pulling on a Tuesday, we might have gymnastics on a Wednesday, we might have this on a Thursday, and Olympic lifting on a Friday, but then we'll have the workout afterwards, so that we're giving people a good mix. There's some structure there in terms of the strength stuff that we're doing, so there is room for progression, that they can put their numbers in to the app, and they can see where they've come from, and obviously what weights they used last week in terms of progress it this week. But obviously then we still have that CrossFit element with the workouts, and then obviously on the weekend we have a bit of fun with Saturday Sweat. We also have our endurance classes and our barbell specific classes, for people that want to, and even obviously now our high rocks classes. So you had a few injuries in your CrossFit career.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about with those injuries were, because you've had a few, it's not the injuries that you actually had. For me, it's the mindset that you had when you got the injuries. So for me, like seeing you come into the gym when you'd broken your ankle and you were scooting around on a little scooter.
Sure.
Because you wanted to get from one place to another quicker to be able to do the next exercise, or you wanted to move around and help your client because you were PTing at the time.
Yeah.
When something like that happens to you, and when you have an injury and you have to go through an operation, and you're essentially supposedly out of training, what's your first thought process in terms of as soon as you can start moving again, or even before that? Because I know that you had a bad ankle, so a lot of people would take that opportunity to be like, I can't train, I can't really walk. I know that like I say, you got a little scooter, and then you probably do some more upper body. So what's the mentality moving forward when you do get an injury?
Gratitude. That's my mindset and my attitude. Like, I've been injured a lot, and people don't understand that. I've had 17 orthopedic surgeries, and I'm not proud of that. I'm not bragging. The truth is, my injuries were never a result of poor training or overtraining. It was really bad luck. And I also had some bad surgeries that had to be corrected. So that's a big reason.
So it's not necessarily 17 different injuries. It's you've gone and one surgeon's not done a great job.
Exactly.
And you had to,
I got a really bad blood clot in my knee, so I had to have like 4 surgeries on my one knee just to remove this giant hematoma and blood clot. So that's like 4 out of the 17.
So now this
is really just one.
And that also, like, because you've said that many times before on a podcast, I've had this many surgeries, and I know that people will probably think,
who'd listen to this guy that's been injured all the time? Yeah, that's fine.
So I think sometimes it's good for you to explain that.
The context.
Because if people take it out of context, then you can look at that. But again, people are like, I mean, the most notable injury that I remember you was your deadlift. You trained so hard because you wanted to get, was it 625 pounds?
Yeah, it was 605 pounds. 200. So I set out a goal for that year in 2021. I woke up one day and I decided I'm going to deadlift 600 pounds. And so then I started training for that, and I trained for it for 9 months, and then I deadlifted 605 pounds, and I was so excited and ecstatic that I did it. I celebrated by throwing the bar down, and unfortunately my knee was bent when I threw it down. The bar landed on my knee and then broke my ankle.
Yeah, I remember
that was like a freak accident, and a lot of people have made fun of me about that, but they don't understand that, but that's fine, doesn't matter. And then a lot of my other injuries, I broke my other ankle jumping over a puddle, you know? And then, you know, a couple of my knee injuries were from playing football where I just, you know, was playing and you tear your ACL. That happens. They're just like accidents that just happen.
But I also think it's good for you to explain that context because not everyone knows that. So everyone would look at that and be like, oh, 17 orthopedic surgery. It's like, what? This guy obviously doesn't know what he's doing. But it's not the case. It's like, you know, like I said, 4 of those were, you know, re-correcting something.
Well, 4 of those were actually like probably like 7 of them were correctives. And then a lot of them were just freak accidents too. They could happen to really anyone.
Yeah.
I've just had bad luck. That's what I just try to say it concisely. I've had bad luck. But as in regards to your mindset and like when you have injury, one thing that I have that not a lot of people have is perspective, because I've spent so much of my life injured, not even being able to walk. I've like literally spent I've spent over 3.5 years of my life on crutches or on a wheelchair or not being able to walk on my own accord. That's 3.5 years of my life. And so I do not take my health for granted. And so like if I get injured, I just think, all right, so what? Doesn't matter. Am I dead? Absolutely not. And then I just immediately think of, all right, what can I do to still get better? What can I focus on? How can I work around my injury? And then I remind myself, even the times if I ever feel sorry for myself or feel bad, you know, I quickly remind myself that there are people all over the world that are so much less fortunate and worse off than I am. Oh, I have a broken ankle, whoop-de-doo. There's a lot of people that don't even have legs. They can't walk. They'll never be able to walk. There's a lot of people right now that are sick, dying in a hospital bed. You know, they're going to take their last breath. There's a lot of people that would give anything in the world just to be healthy enough to be able to exercise. All right? And so anytime that I would feel sorry for myself, oh, I can't walk, doesn't mean I can't exercise. I can still work around that. And so anytime someone's injured or they have a hurt shoulder or elbow or, you know, a busted up knee, so what? Like, don't feel bad for yourself. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Just actually take a moment and realize how fortunate and lucky you still are just to be alive, and you can still exercise, because there's so many other people around this world that can't even do that. So perspective is what I have.
Yeah. I think if you get a chance, the last episode I did was with Aaron at the gym. I don't know if you've met Aaron. He's
I've never seen him, but I know him on social media.
Obviously, like he's paralysed from the knee down, I think it is. And obviously, so he's on crutches when he walks. And obviously, he had a big car accident he was run over in 2017.
Jesus.
So like
there you go.
His mindset as well was the same thing of like, you know, I'm still alive and I can still get to it. Like it's a good message to put across, and I think that from that, I think the message of like. The message of fitness is the main thing, and I think that's always your goal as well. And I know that you have your ways of getting people from A to B, but like I say, for me, it's I love to see people moving.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And I know that there are some. You can be a bit more detailed in how you look at things. So, for example, I love to see people going even to things like F45.
Absolutely.
You know, and I know that they get their bad rep because they can get reps where like maybe some of the movements are probably not tailored towards someone that's, you know, 50 kilos overweight. But obviously, if you've got a good coach there, that coach can give you, you know, some regressions, as it were, to dial it back.
Just scale it accordingly.
You know, for me, I love seeing people come into a CrossFit gym and training CrossFit with us. I do think that people can get better, especially if it's someone that's not really ever done anything before, because they're going to make those newbie gains as well.
Absolutely.
And then also as well, obviously there's a big boom at the moment with like high rocks, and again, same thing. Like, I love all the movements that you do in high rocks. You will do that in CrossFit as well. But high rocks have cottoned on to, you know, a good niche of, you know, it being very low
barrier to entry.
Yes,
they've simplified it to where anyone can join it.
And I would agree with that in a sense. That like, but you know, even it's still a tough workout. You know, for you to train towards something like a high rocks, it's still tough because you might lose weight on your journey training for something like high rocks, and that's great. However, if you're doing a full high rocks by yourself, you know, and you're not doing the relay, it's still 8 kilometers of running.
Dude,
you know, so it's not an easy.
It's a running sport.
100%, but it's not just because it's a running sport. And yes, anyone can run. depends on the speed that you run at, but regardless, like 8 kilometers of running for someone that's like new to fitness is still tough, so you still have to train hard for it. So there's always that, you know, the CrossFit versus High Rocks, or, you know, bodybuilding versus CrossFit, or strongman versus bodybuilding. There's always that, you know, the argument.
For sure.
To me, I'm always just, I'm happy to see people trying to better themselves.
Yeah,
and I think that ultimately that's probably your message as well, and you just go about it, you know.
No, I just go about it in a very like pragmatic way, and for sure any exercise is better than no exercise, regardless. I don't care if you're doing yoga or Pilates, F45, CrossFit, Barry's Boot Camp, anything's better than nothing. We can all agree on that. The way I look at it, and this is just how I think, I always, all right, how can I help this person the most? What can I do to give this person the most value for their time in the gym? All right, that's how I think about it. You know, I don't think about, oh, is this person going to enjoy this? Is it going to be fun for them? I don't think about that. I'm thinking, all right, how can I get this person better and stronger and healthier? And that's why I take a very direct, simple, effective approach, where it's literally just, all right, you need to lift weights. You need to eat more protein, real food, and then do whichever form of cardio that you enjoy doing, because that's what's actually going to help you the most. Is it the most enjoyable? Is it going to be constantly different and interesting and varied every day? No.
Do you think,
but it will help you the most.
Do you think you've lost clients because of that at any point? Have you ever had someone start with you and go, no?
If anything, I've gotten probably more clients, because a lot of people have reached out to me that were just burned out CrossFitters that just were chronically overtrained. They'd been doing CrossFit for like 5-6 years, and they weren't getting any better, any stronger, or anything, because they never had any real plan or structure with their training. It was just literally doing random, constantly varied workouts. They didn't have any long-term goal or plan. They weren't doing consistent progressive strength work, and that's why they never actually got any better at any one thing. So
I also do think that when it comes down to CrossFit, it does come down to the coaching ability as well. You've got someone that really knows what they're talking about. You've got someone that is able to put the message out properly in the correct way, give people the regressions or the progressions that they do need. Then, you know, you can improve. But obviously, if you've got someone that, you know, literally has not really been involved in fitness ever before, but then thought, oh, I'm going to go and do my level 1. Obviously, their experience is lower comparative to others. I know I've been in the fitness industry now for 20 years. Plus. And for me, like I say, it is the way that it's delivered. Obviously, every coach has their different ways, but you also essentially, as long as you're there for the right reason and you're there because you want to help people, you know, you're not there because you're trying to be famous or anything like that. Like I've said this about this podcast, I don't expect to get famous and rich off these little interviews and stuff. This for me is a bit of a side project and something that I enjoy doing. I just love talking about fitness, love talking about sport, and obviously if it gets me noticed to then get any other roles within commentary or broadcasting, then that's a bonus for me. I'm very lucky that I get the chance to sit and have a coffee, midday and talk about fitness.
Sure.
So basically now, what I wanted to move on to was your step from coaching, because I know that you took a step back from coaching at one point. You didn't stop completely, but you then have moved into the YouTube and the social media side of things for you to progress yourself. What was that like for you, having been so involved in fitness and so hands-on, having such a hands-on approach to training and to helping people? What was that transition like for you going into YouTube and social media?
Well, basically I just looked at it as fitness is the only career that I would ever want to do. It's the only thing I've ever been interested in. It's the only thing I really think about. It's the only thing I'm really passionate about.
And we're also very lucky to be in that industry as well.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think being a trainer is the best, most rewarding job ever. I think being a trainer is more important than being a doctor. I've said that on a different
controversial
podcast. Well, if you think about it very fundamentally, okay, doctors, they're meant to help sick people. All right, a trainer can prevent someone from getting sick in the first place. Okay,
to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent. But I mean, it's a generalization.
I know you said
But that's what I'm saying. So that's why I think being a trainer is the best job ever. And now regarding my transition from being more of like an in-person coach and then going more online, that was a very gradual, slow transition. It was very, at times, very scary. So I've been coaching people for, I don't know, 12, 13, 15 years, a long time. And so I was a CrossFit coach and a personal trainer for a very, very long time. And eventually I just got to the point where I couldn't train more people, I couldn't coach more classes, and I'd kind of reached this ceiling, you know, because there's only so many hours in a day.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're a good trainer or a good coach, I mean, you're a high energy, you know, and so like coaching 4 classes a day, training 3 clients, and still trying to work out yourself once or twice a day, that makes for a very, very long, tiring day. And I did that for probably 6-7 years, and I eventually just reached the point where I was like becoming burnt out, and I just realized like this is not going to be sustainable for the rest of my fitness career. So at that time, this is like back in 2018, 2019, I just started looking at observing like, all right, how can I actually make fitness, you know, even more of a career and to kind of step it up. And so that's when I started focusing more on social media, just because that was the only way that I saw that I could actually continue to grow and progress in my fitness career.
And potentially reach more people.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, this is the conclusion I came to. Like I was coaching at CrossFit Metalized for 6 years, and I was only helping, coaching, and reaching those members that came in to that building. So basically I was only helping the people inside those 4 walls of that building. But with social media now and how it works, you can literally reach, you know, an infinite amount of people, basically. You know, everyone's got a phone. Yeah. And so I just realized that, and then I just started putting out fitness content very, very consistently. And I've been doing that since 2019. Yeah. You know, here we are in 2025. So that's been my transition.
I'd say it's this last 2 years that you've really started to sort of boom and, you know, take the especially the YouTube side so much more seriously with your short reach stuff, and then obviously your actual whole, you know, your complete videos and that as well. Yeah. And you do have some I don't want to say like controversial views. They're just very opinionated views on, you know, the way that you would approach things, or opinionated views on how someone else. And everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that my question is, because of the way that you're trying to reach people, what percentage of the stuff that you put out there is real? As in, I know that the message that you're putting out there is real, but what percentage of stuff do you put on there as like clickbait?
Like rage bait?
Yeah, rage bait, clickbait to get people done.
Yeah, and so that's a great question. As far as like percentage, that would be super hard to answer, but I would probably say like 5 to 10%. And that's not because I want to just put out rage bait or clickbait content. I just understand the rules of social media. Yeah. I don't like the rules of social media, but I'm forced to play by them.
But you're doing what's necessary to reach people and get people to view your content.
And again, sometimes you got to do those. Like, I've done a few pieces of content where it's quite ridiculous or outrageous. I've even done like skits with myself. You know, just to keep things fresh and interesting, and also to obviously be sometimes funny as well. I'm a very serious person.
Yeah, that's what I actually.
So you kind of got to balance that. Sometimes.
That was going to come to the next question. Was
for sure.
Those skits where obviously you're putting on a high pitched voice and pretending to be a geek or a nerd or, you know, whatnot. I remember when you first did it was actually quite nice, because obviously I know you personally anyway.
Yeah.
And yes, you are a serious person. Yes, you can be intense. But to me, it's not intense in a bad way. It's intense because of the passion that you've got behind things.
Thank you very much. So that's it. That's all it is. People think I'm too serious, or I'm mean, or I'm never happy, or I never smile.
And that's again, because it was nice to see, you know, that side of you come out, because obviously you can have a laugh and a joke with you in the gym, but not everyone gets to see that side of you.
Yeah.
People get to see the serious side of you. You know, stare down the camera and put your message across. So like, whether people like the skits or not, from our point of view, like, look, you know, it was good to see you having a laugh and a bit of fun with you, because you are intense, you are, you know, passionate, and you are very direct and to the point.
Yep.
That's not a bad thing. It's who you are. It's ingrained in you, and obviously you're doing it because you're trying to get a message out there. So it's nice to. It's nice to see that side.
Thank you.
One thing I remember, I'm sure. Do you remember we went to? you can have fun, but you also know your boundaries. So, for example, remember we had Christmas dinner.
Oh yeah,
as a group of us.
This is like back in 2020.
Yeah,
this was when I first this when I left CrossFit Metalize, and I was just a freelance trainer.
Yeah.
You know, at CrossFit Alliance.
And I was sat next to you at the dinner table, and I remember obviously we had the Christmas dinner, and I remember part of the Christmas dinner was, I think it was a carrot cake or
something. Actually, that was 2019, bro.
Yeah, I think it was.
It wasn't 2020. It was 2019.
It was before COVID, I think.
Yeah, it was 2019.
And
wow.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's about 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
I remember, I think you had like one spoonful of your carrot cake and was like, "Oh, that's nice. Yeah, I'm done. Mike, do you want the rest of that?" And it was like, you had enjoyed the bit that you had, but you were like, I don't need to have the whole piece.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I still remember it now. And I think what's even more funny about that night, you actually left us early and then went on to meet your future wife on the same night.
I did. That's exactly what happened. So if you want to like go back on that, I do remember that. It's funny. It was 2019, but basically we were at a Christmas brunch and we've been drinking for like 4 or 5 hours. I had just gotten out of a very long kind of unhealthy relationship, and so I was single at the time, and I don't drink very often, but I mean, you know, it's Christmas and I didn't have anything else to do, so I was like, all right, why not go celebrate with some, you know, people that are at least like-minded and into health and fitness. So yeah, we went to the Christmas brunch, definitely had more than a few drinks, and then I left a little bit early, planning on going home because I remember I had a PT session the next day. And then I wound up at Barasti, which is a very well-known bar here in Dubai if you've ever been here. And then I ended up meeting my future wife, like very drunk at Barasti. But I'm thankful I did. So like one thing led to another. So I try not to be too judgmental.
So there's something good that came of alcohol.
Yeah, that's one instance. Well, I'm sure many people have had a lot of good things happen to them later in the night when alcohol's involved. A lot of bad things too. You gotta be mindful of that. But but in generally speaking, I don't drink alcohol hardly ever, just because it's very hard on your body. It's very unhealthy.
I think I'm very much like you. I don't mind an alcoholic drink. For me, my sort of tipple is I love a pint of Guinness. That's my favourite.
Yeah.
So like 1 or 2 of them if I go out with some friends, and I'm done. Like I'd literally have 1 or 2, and then I'm like, no, I'm done. I don't need anything else. So it's obviously, unless I'm celebrating like a big occasion or something, I'll have a few more. But what I wanted to talk about then was obviously now going back to the rage bait or the clickbait stuff.
Sure.
This comes off the back of you meeting your wife. Obviously now your wife knows you as a person. Obviously you've been living together. You know, I'm guessing that she sort of like fits into your lifestyle and has similar views to what you do and what you like. I'm not saying that they're perfectly the same. I'm sure she doesn't eat exactly the same. But
no.
What's it like for you being at home when you like a meat shake, and obviously one of your content pieces that you put out there is your middle of the night piss bucket.
Yeah.
What the viewers want to know is that clickbait, rage bait, or is that true?
That's actually 100% true.
100% true.
100% true.
And how does the wife deal with that?
Well, I'll just explain that in a very. We're gonna address the meat shake first, then the piss bucket like in a second. But so like, again, when I think about food and then just how my mind works, I think about eating for purpose, utility, like what is actually going to be best for my body. And because I have to eat a lot of food just to actually maintain my weight, I think about, all right, what's the easiest way I can consume the highest quality calories, very conveniently. And I'm not advocating anyone else has to do this, but again, I'm not drinking meat shakes or chicken shakes because I enjoy them. I'm drinking them because I know they're good for me. And the way I think about it is like, what I'm actually doing is just consuming the highest quality food possible. I'm just literally eating meat.
Yeah.
Whereas what I think is crazy is people will go to McDonald's mindlessly and have lunch, and they'll eat some low quality processed fast food with a whole bunch of vegetable oils and other things in it. They don't even understand what they are.
Yeah.
People will eat McDonald's or pizza or whatever without a second thought, but then they think I'm crazy for just consuming meat, which is a real whole natural food. It's just because the way I consume it. All right,
and that's each to their own, I guess.
Yeah, it's each to their own. So like in my mind, everyone else is crazy for mindlessly eating low quality processed packaged foods without a second thought. all I'm doing is actually just consuming meat or chicken, a high quality food, and I'm doing it in a very efficient way. And I'm not eating it to enjoy it. I do it because of the utility. And that's like my whole premise. Like, eat more for purpose, eat less for pleasure.
Yeah.
If more people took that mindset about food, people wouldn't be so overweight or unhealthy. So that's how I think about it. Granted, I don't do a lot of meat shakes so much anymore. I was doing that more when I was like single because I didn't like to cook that much. Now I'm very fortunate. My wife, she does a lot of cooking and meal prepping, and so she'll prepare like breakfast and lunch.
Because I guess it's much more enjoyable to actually eat the
it is, absolutely. But as like a single guy, you know, when I was training twice a day and doing PT all day, I don't have time to food prep and meal prep, so I would literally just throw like 10 chicken breasts in my air fryer, turn it on for 15 minutes, then I would throw those chicken breasts in a blender, put water on it, blend it up, and I would just drink on that for the next like 4 or 5 days, and I'm still getting really high quality food, and the outcome's the same.
Fair.
So yeah, that's how I think about it. And if I was single, I guarantee I would go do that again, because that's just the most efficient way to look at it. So I'm just practical. Regarding the piss bucket, that I do 100%, but there's a little bit of a backstory. So we already talked about, I broke my ankle deadlifting 605 pounds. So then I had to have surgery to fix my ankle. And during that recovery process, I was literally in a cast on crutches, couldn't walk. And for whatever reason, I just don't have the fortune to be able to sleep through the entire night without waking up to have to go pee. So when I was recovering from my surgery, I literally couldn't walk. And you don't want to risk waking up in the middle of the night, especially when you're on heavy pain medications. You're already disoriented from, you know, being asleep, and your ankle hurts and you can't walk and it's dark. So you don't want to crush yourself to the bathroom to go pee. So then I just literally started peeing in a bucket just to help myself get back to sleep and not have to worry about crutching unsafely back and forth from the bathroom. And so I did that while I was recovering, and then I just found that it improved my quality of sleep so much, and it was so convenient. And because I take my recovery very, very seriously, and sleep is when you recover the best, the most, I was like, why am I gonna wake up, walk myself back and forth from the bathroom to go pee when I could just like literally wake up, grab a little bottle, you know, relieve myself, and then just fall right back asleep. And to me, it still makes way more sense to do that, and I still do it to this day.
To me, it obviously, look, again, each to their own thing. Obviously works for you. When I think of that, I think of the first time that you ever did it in front of your wife, and what the thought process in her head must have been. What's that noise?
Well, actually, it was her idea.
Right, there you go.
Yeah, because I mean, I couldn't walk. She's like, you know what, Tanner, you should just do this, like, pee in this bucket right here. And I was like, God, that's a good idea. It was a little bit embarrassing at the time, initially, but she's my wife.
I was going to say, that's probably, at that moment, that was probably the moment for you where it clicked and going, this is the woman for me. She's telling me to piss in a bucket.
Like through thick and thin. You know, my wife's seen me at my best, and she's seen me at my worst. Yeah. And so that's how I know she's definitely the one, and I know she truly loves me because she is because
she puts up with you.
Yeah, very, very tolerant person. But you know, we take care of each other in our own ways.
No, definitely. And actually, I've got a story about that. You were there on the day to support her at the first Crucible event.
Yeah.
And I remember. It was a video of her doing, it was a 2,000 meter run, and you're on video live. I think it was either a live or a story that you were on there, and you were like, come on, Tineke, let's go. And then the next time she came around, there was a guy, and you were like, come on, bro, my girlfriend's gonna catch you.
For sure.
And you were sort of like dogging him out because your girl was gonna catch him up, and I just thought it was hilarious that
he's gonna get beat by a girl. Yeah, it's unacceptable.
But it just made me laugh on the story because sometimes you don't expect to hear it, and obviously I imagine that guy running was not expecting to hear you shouting, come on, my girlfriend's behind you, you know, she's going to catch you, as it were. I mean, probably spurred him on as well as spurring her on as well.
Absolutely.
So again, there's a bit of positivity that comes out of it.
Yeah, there absolutely is.
Mate, I'm going to wrap it up there. I really appreciate your time coming to talk to me.
Man.
Obviously, it's always, you are a very sort of polarising figure within the fitness community. Whether people think that's for one way or another, your message is clear that you want to help people, you want to get people fitter and stronger, and I think there's nothing bad to be taken from that.
Thank you.
Love your passion towards fitness. Obviously, keep it going. Obviously, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much
with everything that you do with your YouTube. And obviously, please keep watching. We've got some really good guests lined up. I've actually got Olympic gold medalist coming up soon, which I'm really looking forward to, and he's a swimmer, so there's loads to talk about.
Nice,
but again, mate, thank you very much for joining me.
Much respect for you, like going out there and doing this, man. It's not easy making or putting out content consistently.
I'm just enjoying talking about sport and fitness, to be honest with you. So again, I find myself very lucky that I get to do so.
It's just like anything else, man. Just consistency and hard work, patience. It will pay off, man. So thanks for having me on. It was my pleasure.
On that note, don't forget to like, subscribe, and obviously hit that notification button, and I will see you all on the next episode. Peace.